excited about Oakmont, excited to see this place. I think this is one of those, it's almost the opposite of what we see when we talked about some of these courses we see all the time. You think about Quail Hollow. It's a golf course that obviously we see a lot, and the excitement to see it in a major venue isn't that high yet. When you get to an Oakmont, we hadn't seen it since 16. It's exciting for us because it's cool and it's new, and a whole new crop of players get a chance to kind of attack it.
Yeah, and it's going to be different than I feel like the U.S. Open and the USGA has kind of got a little artsy, a little crunchy these past few years with some of the venue locations. And you look at the last 6 U.S. Open, Shane, the winning score has been -6 or lower. That's the longest streak in championship history.
Wow. And
so 7 out of the last 14 before that, they were even par or higher. And so I think that's also another reason why there's so much excitement, because it feels like in the U.S. Open, we haven't been able to see these guys get punched in the face. We haven't seen these guys look really, really dumb. And that's honestly half the fun.
I mean, it is half the fun. And I think you need a little mix of both, right? I don't want to see everybody out there shooting 75. If you play well, I think Oakmont allows good rounds to happen.
Yeah.
And if you play poorly, obviously it can balloon. And, I think Oakmont's one of those places too where, you're not going to make a lot of triples. You're not going to make doubles and things like, I mean, you will, and there will be those this week. But it's one of those places at the moment you get out of position, you make a bogey, and then you look at the third round from 2016 from Bryson. He shoots even par. I think he made 5 pars. I mean, it's like you're going to make a whole bunch of bogeys. You're out of position. You can also make a lot of birdies if you hit a good drive. And there are a lot of birdie holes. You think about 2 and you think about 17. I think the par 5s are attackable for these players. And when the wind shifts around that place, either one's going to be downwind or 9's going to be downwind, And I mean, the golf course kind of meanders that way where it allows you to kind of take advantage of however the golf course is playing. So scoring is there, again, if you play well. I want to get into our power rankings if you've got yours handy.
I got them.
And I got to say something. First things first, I think I said Valhalla early instead of Quail Hollow, which tells you how much those 2 golf courses stand out in terms of PGA championships. But I think this is the first time a certain somebody is not going to be on my list for the year on a power ranking for major championships.
Wow.
So I'll kick us off. My number 5, and I just mentioned the name. We just talked about his 3 rounds in 2016. Shane Lowry is my number 5 on the power ranking. Really, outside of the PGA, he's played awesome golf. He had a really good chance here in 16. This has not been his best major. He's not played great at U.S. Opens, top 20 in his last 2. But I just feel like Shane Lowry's playing solid golf, and if it's kind of muddy and gross, I think Shane Lowry can kind of handle that because that's the weather that was here in 16 as well. So Shane Lowry is my number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is also off the beaten path a little bit. Also not his best major championship, only a couple top 10s, I believe, and he's been around the block for a little bit. It's Keegan Bradley. This guy grew up right up the street there in Woodstock, Vermont, only a stone throw away from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Oakmont Country Club. But
you just take an Uber most of the time. It's close.
Absolutely, yeah. T8 at the PGA Championship where he didn't really putt. Another top 10 there at Jack's place as well. He's driving the absolute crap out of the golf ball right now, and his chipping has really improved this year. It's been pretty fun to watch. So I went with Captain Keegan at number 5, and kind of selfishly because I just want him on the Ryder Cup team at this point.
You know what's funny is I was looking at names this morning, odds and stuff, and he's not my sleeper, but he was almost my sleeper to win. Is Keegan. It's just something adds up here. I don't think he gets frustrated on the golf course as much as he used to when he was younger. I think he's kind of able to handle the situation. I also think he's one of those guys that this is probably the most important major to him because he loves like America and the USA and obviously the Ryder Cup and all those things. I think he's sponsored by a brand that is like Flag and Anthem or something. I mean, obviously patriotic and loves his country. I feel like he's probably one of those people that like ranks the U.S. Open as his favorite major,
He's looking forward to Oakmont. People are like talking about it like, oh my gosh, this and that. He's like, I cannot wait to play Oakmont. And so, I'm with Captain Keegan. You talked about the odds. It felt like, honestly, some of those guys around like 90 to 100 were better than those guys in the 50 to 80 range.
totally agree with you. I honestly don't really like anybody on the odds sheet except for Scotty. And I mean, I'm not going to touch Scotty at plus 260 or whatever, minus 260, whatever it is. I got Rahm at 4. I mean, what more do you got to say about John Rahm? U.S. Open, tough golf courses, plays well. I'd be shocked if he played poorly this week. And by the way, I don't know if you heard this or not. He finished top 10 on Live Again.
I think that's 20 in a row. But I mean, like half of those top 10s, he's like 5+ strokes back. My number 4. Also, I mean, surprisingly, my top 5 power rankings, the majority are not PGA Tour players. My number 4 is Joaquin, the Dream, Neiman, coming off his 4th win at RTJ, tracking down Bubba, Keimer, Bond,
Graham
McDowell, Smash, legend. Neiman, you know, I like his creativity. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. He can work the ball any which way. I think the softness helps him a little bit. I am concerned on and around the greens for someone like him, but I like what I saw at the PGA Championship, and he's obviously playing some really good golf. So Neiman at 4 for me.
That PGA Championship, by the way, Quail Hollow. I don't know if you knew that or not.
That was not
Valhalla. It was not Valhalla this year. Easy to mix them up. I get Kiowa and Whistling Straits mixed up a lot as well when I talk about majors. I don't know why. It's not like they're very similar golf courses, but I think maybe just the terms or how often they're played back to back. I got Morikawa 3.
Oh,
by the way, I like your Neiman pick. I don't have him on my list, but I'm with you. I think softness helps. I think if it's really firm, it probably doesn't help him. I like Morikawa just because I think he's going to hit a boatload of fairways, and I think when you hit a boatload of fairways at Oakmont, it's going to play into players' hands. So, you know, and when you look back at these, you know, the last 2 winners bombed it, right? The last 2 winners, and Ernie as well. I mean, Ernie bombed it, you know, especially back in his heyday. But there's always the not super long, accurate guy that kind of floats around at Oakmont U.S. Opens. And I think Morikawa is kind of mine in terms of who I put on this list.
I like that. I will say the one thing about Morikawa that threw me off is when he talked at, was it Muirfield Village, I think? And he said he's searching for something, but he doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean,
he's like all golfers know what I'm talking about. He's like, something's just missing right now.
Yeah.
So, but I'm with you. Like this guy, I think he should have won in 2021 at Torrey Pines. He missed so many short putts down the stretch. And I would be shocked if throughout his career he does not win a U.S. Open.
Yeah, I mean, do I think he's going to win? Probably not. Do I think he's going to be in contention? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think the winner is likely going to come out of these 2 dudes. Did you do your 3?
My 3 is Bryson DeChambeau.
Wow, at 3. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Dropped him to 3. I think he was at 3. And, you know, new driver. We'll see how that goes. Probably great. He has a zillion driver heads, so should be comfortable with it. But like I mentioned, I just think there's maybe a touch factor needed where I trust the 2 guys above him a bit more, if that makes sense.
Okay. I got Bryson as my number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, as I've said and stated consistently about this golf course, he just feels like the floor for him is 5th, you know? So, I mean, I just feel like if you're giving him 5th to 1st and there's an opportunity for him to finish somewhere in there, depending on the conditions, the draw, all that good stuff, he might win, he might not, but I just don't see him finishing outside the top 5 or top 10. And so you got to have him somewhere kind of near that top.
Yeah. I went with Rahm at 2, which probably some recency bias there off the PGA Championship, but this guy engaged and fully back him, saying that was the most fun he had on the golf course in quite a while. And he seemed like he was a sad boy for the past year and a half, especially think about it, Shane. He didn't even play in this championship last year with the lesion in between his toes being the WD. So I think he's chomping at the bit for a number of reasons, especially with all this talk about Scotty. That should have been a rivalry with their Ryder Cup history and everything. And I think he gives it a good go. So I have him at 2.
And then we both got Scotty 1.
Correct. Corey Connors, number 1.
Yeah. No, sorry, Corey. Sorry, Corey. Sorry, everybody. So there you go. No Rory on either of our top 5 list.
It's the move.
And you shouldn't have him on your top 5 list. Like, could he win? Of course he could win. He could win anywhere. But does it feel like he's going to win? I also, and I mean, this is like, we see great players kind of pop out of nowhere. It happens occasionally. I don't feel like Rory's one of those players. I think Rory wins when he's playing well, and I think he doesn't play well when he's not. Like, I just don't feel like he's one of those guys that out of nowhere like finds it for a week. You know, I just feel like
Yeah.
he's a progressive player, and the progression right now is going down, not up, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah, he's got to find something, prove it in competition, and then you can start running downhill. He has always been the ultimate momentum player.